It is truly an honor and a privilege that the Lord has given to me to be able to serve his kingdom in this way. Hey everyone, this is Yvette Hampton. Welcome to the 500th episode of the Schoolhouse Rocked Podcast. Can you believe it?
That's mind-blowing.
Wow. It's mind-blowing. I'm here with Aby Rinella this week, and we are just celebrating God's goodness with this podcast. And we're going to talk about some really fun things this week. And we are so excited that you are here to be part of it with us. And part of this is celebration of what God is doing through the Schoolhouse Rocked ministry. So Aby, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad. I love having you with me.
Aw, thanks for having me back. I can't believe I told Jesse it was the 500th, and he's like, how do you talk that much? And I'm like, well, I have not done 500, but Yvette has talked for 500 episodes.
Oh my word. It's been exciting. And if you can tell in my voice, for those who listen frequently, you might hear that my voice sounds a little bit raspy. It's because I'm getting over this nasty head cold, or it's been through our family, and I'm still recovering from it. I feel great, but I still have this weird, raspy voice.
Yes.
So, I'm not, I'm not on anything weird. I'm just getting over a head cold. But I am so glad to have you with me, Aby. You have been such an important part of this ministry and of this podcast. And so it's going to be a fun week. But before we get into our conversation, I want to say thank you to CTC Math. They have been such an important part of this podcast and this ministry. It's one of the things that has kept us going, is having all of our sponsors who have been so very generous to us and allowed us to promote whatever it is that they're doing. And we're very particular about who we will promote because we really do care. And so CTC Math, they have been so good to us. And so thank you to them. If you guys are looking for a great online math program, go to ctcmath.com. All right, Aby Rinella.
Hey.
Welcome to the 500th episode. This is so fun as we have been just reflecting on what the Lord has done through 500 episodes. We just continue to stand in awe of God's goodness and his faithfulness through this ministry. And it's kind of funny because some people might not see a podcast as a ministry, but that's exactly what this podcast is. And I know that there are a lot of others. We just recently had Paul Hastings from the Compelled podcast, and that is a ministry for him and his family, just like this is a ministry for us. And it's a ministry for you as well. I know that this is something that is near and dear to your heart. So I kind of want to jump into that first of just why do you even do this with us? I mean, besides the fact that we pay you a ton of money to join me for this podcast, why are you part of this ministry with us?
She was totally joking. Why? Well, honestly, because I love encouraging homeschool moms, because I need encouragement. So the guests that we have on really encourage me. And because often when God opens a door, you walk through it and you pray. And I love sharing what the Lord has taught me through my homeschool journey. And I love learning from others. And that's why. And I love you.
Oh, I love you too. I love you too. So we're going to talk in fives this week, not 500s, because 500 would take too long.
That would take way too long.
If we talked about our 500 favorite things about the episode, we could maybe come up with 500 things. Maybe.
That would take a long time.
But that would take a long time. So we're going to talk about five. But you just named some of yours. So we're going to jump into some of our 5 favorite things about the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast.
Perfect.
Yeah?
I got 5.
Wait, now did you just mention the 5?
No, you asked why I'm doing this.
Well, I know.
That's not my favorite thing about it.
Those aren't, that's not your favorite thing is not hanging out with me.
Here? I mean, I do love to hang out with you, but why am I here?
I want that to be your top favorite thing.
Okay, I'll say that is my top favorite
thing. So is that going to be number 6?
Honestly, it's written on my list. Hanging with Yvette. No, it is one of my 5. It is.
Because you just put it on there.
No,
I'm playing.
Look at it. It's on there.
Oh, you have a list. Yeah.
I did put a list. I did. Good. I threw it together.
I love it. And you printed it even. Is it printed in color?
It's not printed in color.
Oh.
No.
Mine is colored.
Is it?
But mine's on my screen. It's not printed.
Oh, see, mine's printed the old-fashioned paper. I'm a pencil paper person.
Yeah. So is it handwritten?
No, but I do handwrite a lot. It's printed.
Oh, I handwrite a lot
so
too.
5 favorite things. Let's go back and forth. 1 you, 1 me. Do you want to do like that? Or do you want to bust out your 5?
That sounds like fun.
Okay,
yes.
ready?
Go. What's your number 1?
Oh, mine? You.
Yeah, you go first. Okay, I'll go first. All right. My number one favorite thing about the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast is the friends that we've made through this. Specifically, I've had a few ladies who listen to this podcast who, and I'm not talking about just my regular friends, because I have lots of regular friends that the Lord has greatly blessed me with. But there's been just a handful of women who, for whatever reason, and you actually kind of were the start of that, just through the podcast, who the Lord just put it on their hearts to reach out to me, and I made a good connection with them, and we just have become friends. And some of them I've met in person. Actually, I think all but one I've met in person. And there are several of them. The ones that come to mind when I think about it, who I probably have the closest relationships with, are Sally, Jen, Rachel, and Carrie. Besides you, of course, Abby. But those four ladies, I mean, they're so good at texting me, calling me, sending emails,
and you
just
met them
encouraging
through
us.
doing the podcast.
Yeah. They're just moms who listen to the podcast, and they've reached out through email or through Facebook or one way or another. And I've just been able to develop relationships with them, and they've gotten to know our family. We've gotten to know their families, and they will just text me and say, "Hey, how can I pray for you? Just thinking about you." And that means more to me than you can even imagine. And so I am so grateful for these friendships that the Lord knew I needed. And I didn't even know that I needed these friendships, but I'll have a day where I'm just like, I'm struggling with whatever thing I'm struggling with that day. And a text message will pop up from one of them, and they'll just say, "Hey, I'm just thinking about you today. I'm praying for you," or "How can I pray for you today?" And so God specifically has used these ladies to be a huge blessing in my life. So that's my first. These are in no particular order, but that would be my first thing that I love about the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast. What about you?
Okay, so these aren't in order either, so I'm going to piggyback off of you because I had one. In fact, I'm going to do two. I'm going to do two. I'm going to cut.
Okay.
Because they both go. So one, same, is hearing from listeners and connecting with real moms, because we're real moms that are going through the same exact struggles that everybody else is every day. We just once in a while put a microphone in front of us. And one of my favorite things has been able to, exactly like you said, when people reach out, I can't reach out to who the listeners are because I don't know who you are. But when people reach out to me and I can build those friendships and we can encourage each other, that's one of my very, very favorite things. And then the second one is being able to learn from, it's also relationships, the guests that we have on, the friendships that I've made actually with the guests, like the Rachel Carmens and the Gingers and the Dorindas, just being able to sit at the feet of these older, wiser women and build relationships with them through the podcast has been, so guests and listener relationships. Those are two.
Yeah. Well, you're basically copying my list, because that's
what I was worried about.
Literally. No. This is good though, because this just shows what God's doing, and that we're in this together. It's funny because my second one says meeting so many of our guests.
Yes.
That has definitely been a huge blessing to me. And again, like you said, I've been able to build relationships with some of these people who I would not otherwise have relationships with. I might know them from conferences and traveling and interviewing for the movie, but I wouldn't have the relationship that I have with them had they not been on the podcast, like Rachel Carmen and Ginger Hubbard and people like that who, they've just been on several times, and I've been able to just build really deep relationships with them, and they have mentored me and still do. And I'm so grateful for them. And then the other thing I have, it's so funny, number 3 is the encouragement I receive from our guests. And this, I can say almost across the board, and we're going to talk about what our favorite episodes are. But across the board, really the encouragement that I get when I look at where I was, we're 5 years plus into this podcast. And so when I look at where I was as a homeschool mom 5 years ago and where I am today, I have learned so much through the wisdom that has been shared through all of our guests. It's like every single guest we have has some nugget that I can take and I'm like, man, that's so good. And I really can apply it to my life as a mom, as a wife, as a homeschooler. And so it's been such an incredible blessing to just sit at the feet, like you said, of these people, both men and women, and learn from them. It's like going to a homeschool conference week after week after week and going to all the different seminars, right?
Yeah.
And getting to just hear from these people, the wisdom and the knowledge that they have to share that God has taught them. And so I'm so grateful for that.
I take so many notes while we're sitting here with guests. I'm just scribbling down everything they say.
Right. Yeah, me too.
Okay, so you've done 3, I've done 2. Quick, I'll just throw my third because we already said it. Hanging out with you. I love to hang out with you.
I love
Okay,
that.
what's your
I
4?
love hanging out with you too.
So fun.
Even
and
though
it's funny because you're sick and I'm like, doesn't affect me because we're a million miles away.
Right.
Like, we're so far away. We've only ever like personally met once, and then we met again at a thing we were both at. So we've actually only physically met twice. But
yes.
So you can be sick and it doesn't even bother me because you're so far away.
I will not cough on you.
No.
So funny.
What we do at IEW is break through the noise of the grammar and the writing prompts, and we say, this is what you do, step by step. And I've witnessed it over and over again, both watching Andrew teach and hearing from parents, this is the best writing program. We've made it so easy and made it really affordable. So any mom can teach writing to their children using our course, and we guarantee it.
To try 3 weeks of free lessons, visit IEW.com.
Okay, my next one is the privilege of being able to serve the Lord through this ministry. I'm telling you, I just sit and I think sometimes about what a blessing and a privilege it is to be able to do this, because I love doing this. I love doing the podcast. I love getting to record with you, with our guests, with everyone. And it is truly an honor and a privilege that the Lord has given to me to be able to serve his kingdom in this way, because we talk all the time about how God's created each one of us on purpose and for a purpose. And so we all have kingdom work to do.
Right.
And this is one of the things that when I first started, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's pretty funny actually listening to some of those first episodes where you could clearly tell I had no clue what I was doing. And not that I'm, the greatest expert now, but after 5 years of doing this, I've gotten much more comfortable with it and gotten kind of used to the process of podcasting. And so I am so grateful that the Lord has called me to be able to podcast and to do the Schoolhouse Rocked Podcast to encourage families.
I love it. I will piggyback on that sort of, yes, to encourage others. But one thing that I've loved about this is, and I've shared this probably 100 times on here, way back when I used to hate the fact that I had something to say, or the fact that I had an urge to speak, or the fact that I had a voice that never would shut up when there was untruths being spoken. Like, I just always had this deep need to speak truth. And I always prayed that God would take my voice away, take my voice away, take my voice away. And so it's been so crazy to see over the years how he said no to my prayer, but he said yes to something different, that he's actually using my voice to encourage others, not just on the podcast, but through speaking and other things. But so as much as it's a blessing to me to encourage others, it's really been an encouragement to me to see how God has used someone that's broken and, just a regular mom that I'm literally in my bedroom right now. So, but just to see how big God is and what God can do and how he did uniquely create each of us for a reason, even if we don't see it in the moment. So that's been a huge blessing for me to see over the past years.
Yeah, that's been amazing. My last one is, and this would be probably my number one thing, is getting to work with my husband. We do this together, and this is really, he does all the heavy lifting. I mean, honestly, I get to just sit and have conversations with people, and he does all the setup. I mean, before you and I came on today, the two of you sat and had to do a bunch of, stuff on your computer and with cameras and lighting and all that stuff. And then he edits everything, and he does all of the hard work afterwards of posting and editing and producing and all of that. And so we love working together. And again, we just feel like we are so privileged to be able to work side by side. I love having him home. This is our family ministry. This is what we do full time, is the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast. And so we're so grateful that the Lord has blessed us with the ability to be together as a family. And, for our girls to just have him around, we're all home all day, all the time together. And it is truly a joy to be able to just be a family and to serve the Lord together in this ministry. So I love it. I love it.
That's so awesome. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. So I don't know if you did 5. I don't know. I did
count.
5. I think I did 5, but I have to ask you this one. I thought so. Okay. People have to go back and listen. Oh no, here it is. To speak truth. I have loved it. This podcast is a blessing because there's no holding back. There's no like, is this politically correct or could this be, I've just really loved having a place that we can speak biblical truth no matter how countercultural it is. And it's a place where moms can hear biblical truth no matter how countercultural it is.
Yeah.
And so I love that. As much as I love the back and forth just fun that you and I have, I do love when we can just like bring the truth. Okay, this one wasn't what you wanted. This wasn't on your list of things to talk about today.
Oh, well, tell me.
But I'm just going to throw it. And it's not a 5. It's just a 1 after we did all of the favorite things. What has been your biggest challenge about doing the podcast?
Wow. That's a good question, Abby.
I know I threw you off.
You did. Yeah. I wasn't prepared for that question.
But I feel like moms should know too, like this, every good thing, there are challenges.
Yeah.
This isn't like the world's,
Yeah. I think probably the biggest challenge is the time that it takes.
Okay.
Because every time I sit down to record, my girls have to be silent. Now typically they're in their rooms doing schoolwork or doing laundry or playing outside or doing something else.
Right.
But it's like, okay, quiet on the set.
Right.
And everyone has to just be totally silent and they can't go in the kitchen. The kitchen is right outside of our studio. And so they can't go in the kitchen. They can't even go get water. And so I think just the time that it takes. So we're like, and it takes anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours to record one episode. And so it just takes time. And that's probably been the biggest challenge is just the time that it takes. And then the time to prepare beforehand and all of that. But I don't know that that's a challenge. I mean, I think it's just a challenge
a reality.
It's just the reality of it.
Right.
But, I know there's a lot of moms who work from home and dads who work from home who are like, okay, kids, go do your thing while I get work done. And so, this is our ministry. This is my job.
And I love that it's a family
it's my side
ministry. Yeah, it's your side hustle. I love that it's family because it does include the girls,
Yes.
And so you have to schedule what's best for the whole family.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. What's been your biggest challenge?
Well, mine 2 biggest well, once you said the time thing, yes, but I'm not on here quite as much as you. So my biggest challenge is the technology, because if anybody knows me from listening to this long enough, I'm not a technological girl. So I guess that's probably not my biggest challenge. It's probably Garrett's to have to edit all my issues. And then the other thing, this is crazy. I told Jesse this last night and he's like, it cracks me up that that's so hard for you, but it's sitting still in a quiet, dark room for this long. It's so hard for me. And he was laughing so hard. He's like, it's an hour. And I'm like, I don't know why it's so hard to be in a room, not outside, I guess. Maybe I don't know. But it's all 1,000 times worth it. It's totally worth it. But there has to be, there's challenges to everything, for goodness sake.
Yeah. There are.
Okay.
But good challenges. So
they're totally good. They stretch us. Like they're good for us,
Yeah, absolutely. So we're out of time already. We have so much more to talk about. We're going to talk about our 5 favorite episodes, and this is really fun. I know we're going to talk about that on Wednesday. We'll come back and do that. But we're out of time for today, so we'll be back Wednesday. But here we have homework for our listeners this week. But this is really fun homework because guess what? We're going to give away 5 Schoolhouse Rocked DVDs.
Ooh.
Again, I didn't tell you that. Did I tell you that?
500? 5?
No, not 500.
Ooh.
We cannot afford to give away 500, but we can afford to give away 5. And so here's how this is going to happen. We did this several months ago. And what we did was we asked our listeners to leave a review for the podcast. Of those who left a review, they filled out a form, and the form will be linked in the show notes. Just fill out that form once you leave a review, and then we will choose from those who fill out the form, and we will choose 5 people to win a Schoolhouse Rocked DVD. And so that's super exciting. We had such a good response from that last time. And I know that there are a lot of people who still haven't seen the movie, or maybe they've seen it and they would like a DVD so that they can pass it on to their friends.
Maybe
or just
they should have
watch.
to put in their review, like their 5 ways they're blessed.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have
love
to.
that.
Or maybe if you have 5 letters in your name. Who knows? I don't know. I can make up these crazy rules because you know what?
It's all about
I don't have to do all that administrative part of things. I can just come up with crazy ideas and then let Garrett and Yvette figure it out.
Now wait. But Abby, are you eligible to win a DVD? I don't know. Cause you know how companies do that weird, like, employees are not eligible.
I'm not eligible. It's okay.
But you already own the DVD.
I was going to say, I already own my own copy and a copy to loan out and then a few copies to give when I come across people in the grocery store.
Oh my goodness. So fun. So you guys go to the show notes, find the link to the form, leave a review first, and then go to the form, fill out that form. It's super easy. Just basically your name and answer a couple of questions. Just let us know that you left a review and then we will choose from those. And we will choose.
And if you already own a DVD, do it anyway, because like I said, I keep a version to loan out because I don't want to loan out. Maybe that's selfish. I don't want to loan out my version because what if somebody's dog gets it? So you should have 2 copies. Right.
So leave a review. And speaking of reviews, really quickly, I want to read a couple of reviews that people have left because it has been such an encouragement to us. And this is what helps people to find the podcast. And so this one I love. It's called, the title of the review is Encouragement at Your Fingertips. And it says, this podcast has been a huge encouragement to me as we navigate the beginning years of our homeschool journey. I surely would have quit by now had it not been for the constant encouragement from these podcasts and interviews. Especially love the advice from the seasoned homeschool moms. Talking to seasoned homeschool moms in person is great, but that takes scheduling and planning. I love that I have encouragement at my fingertips and can listen whenever I need and pause or rewind whenever I need. Thank you for all you're doing. So thank you. I always wish I knew who left these comments and reviews because it doesn't give me names. And I always want to respond to them and say, thank you so much for that. And so many of them are so good, but thank you for whoever left that review. We truly are blessed by that. And so glad that the podcast is a blessing to you and your family. So we will be back on Wednesday. We're going to talk about our favorite episodes and more. So stay tuned. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you back then. Bye. Over the past 6 years, you, the Christian homeschool community, have provided generous support to the Schoolhouse Rocked ministry, and it's had an enormous impact for the kingdom of God. Recently, we've spent some time taking inventory of what's been accomplished in this time because of your generous support. As you know, Schoolhouse Rocked, the Homeschool Revolution, the feature-length documentary, was released in November and is now available on DVD and streaming. We've had the privilege of showing the movie at conferences, churches, theaters, and homeschool events, and we've been blessed to hear the testimonies of how God is using it to impact families around the world. This show, the Schoolhouse Rocked Podcast, is in its 5th season with over 485 episodes and well over 1 million downloads and video views so far. We also launched the Homeschool Insights podcast this year. This daily podcast provides biblical homeschool encouragement in under 10 minutes for moms on the move. And to date, we've published over 130 episodes. We also offer the free Homeschool Survival Kit, a 70-page resource to assist and encourage homeschooling families. And we continue to offer access to the Homegrown Generation Family Expo. Now, we are in the early stages of work on a new movie, and we need your help. While we can't give many details yet, we expect this new film to have a huge impact in our culture. But projects like this simply can't be done without massive support from the community. So we're asking you to join in this important work. Visit schoolhouserocked.com/support and make a one-time or monthly donation that will change lives and hearts for eternity. That's schoolhouserocked.com/support.